Yes.
Heard a voice from someone then. Okay, great, thanks. Right, welcome to the call. Welcome to the call. Hope you guys are doing great. Let me take off these shades. I just wanted to do a bit of a big entrance, something different. You know what I mean? Something different. I'll keep the wig on, eh?
Love it.
How we all doing? Oh, I love that background, Inessa. That's beautiful. Love that background. Well done. Fair play. Fair play. Hey Gina, we got Vicky, we
Hi.
got Stephanie, we got Graham, we got Margaret, we got Linda, Natasha, Andy. Fantastic, brilliant. Okay, right. So let's get into it. Um, so our weekly hangout that we have. Hang on, let me just turn this light. I look a bit bright actually. So we didn't have a hangout last week, due to me having to help mommy out, Jaden's mom with her fridge, etc., and what have you. So we didn't prepare as much training this week because obviously we've got a special guest, and obviously every week we come to these calls to get golden tips, golden nuggets to, improve your business, anything that's going to help you, that's going to give you some type of value. That's the obviously the reason why I do these calls every single week. Okay, so it's great to have you all here. Let me make sure I mute everybody because someone's in the kitchen by the sound of it. Bless them. Okay. Right. Let's just turn this off. Okay, so I'm going to go over a couple of things first of all, just in reference to our Facebook group where our people are, our customers, our team members, for example, just for a couple of minutes, and then obviously I'll bring out a dear friend, somebody that I got really close to in America, spiritually, and it was just amazing when we connected, etc. Um, so yeah, as some of you are aware, okay. Just to let you know, I'm going to do some screen sharing. Just, so there you go. Okay, so this is our Facebook group because I know we've got a couple of prospects on this call tonight. So this is our Facebook group, of course. This is where most of the action happens. People have got various, obviously, WhatsApp groups, etc. So on a day-to-day basis, we put information in here that's got obviously you're going to benefit from for your business, etc. Little tips and what have you, anything that's useful. Company updates. Obviously, we all need to know about company updates if there are any changes. Usually, I do calls about that or anything because obviously, this group's been going for 8 years now. 8 years I've been running this group, so I'm really happy. I got a little badge today from Facebook, so that's nice. And we've got lots of different groups of people that come in and out of this business in the 8 years, and in the Facebook group as well. So I've met all types of people, and I'm always going to continue to be proud of everyone that's, working the best they can to their ability with this business, with this amazing company. So I wanted to get that clear. That's the reason why we do these calls. That's one of the reasons why we've got this Facebook group. Okay, so just swiftly moving over, turning that off basically. So some of you went to the London event. So I'm going to give you guys a bit of advice and a bit of tips, a little golden nugget. It's something that I spoke about on my live today in the group. I'm aware quite a few people have missed that live for whatever reason, that's fine. But one of the things that I shared on that is when you go to events, okay, it doesn't even have to be LifeWave. If you're part of an opportunity, an online business, and you go to events, it's very important. It's not just me that thinks this, there's others members that have come to me with this as well. And it's so true. You know, if you have a social media account, whether you're on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, okay, exposure is important. That's how I built my business over 8 years by using social media. So when you go to an event, if you're posting posts, videos, if you're doing lives, for example, and you're giving your audience that are watching you on social media and you're letting them know where you are, what event you're at, or if you're doing an interview with someone, you can guarantee you're going to get sign-ups from that. Okay. I got a sign up from the London event last weekend and I wasn't even there. How did they know about it? They knew about it because they saw it on my social media wall. So this is just a bit of advice, guys, for anybody that goes to Lifeway events in the future. You know, footage on social media of that event is crucial. It's absolutely crucial to the making of your business, because people will see it. You know, there's a couple of people on this call I can see that did post some stuff on social media. Yeah, it was shortly after the event, but it was there. Okay. Because I've been to events and I've come out of events like halfway through a 2 day event and I've been signing people up in the street on my laptop because people have seen me on social media, for example. So again, I only share my experience. Okay. It may work for you, it may not work for you. I'm not telling you that this is the way forward, but as per usual, I'm just sharing my experience of 8 years working with this technology, etc., in this company, being a network marketer, so to speak. So I just wanted to get that across to you. That's really, really important, that is. So, without further ado, I'd like to bring Angela onto this Zoom tonight. She is a special guest, of course. It's something that I'm going to start doing again regular. It's something that I used to do in the past as well. Bring special guests out. I know I've got a core team. This is my organization, but I do have a core team that are very much active in this company. And eventually I'm going to start doing hangouts for those as well and their peeps with top leaders, for example. So every now and again on the main call here, you're going to get the odd leader that's going to come on. It's great. We've got some fantastic incentives coming as well, which I'm going to reveal to you at some point this week. But Angela has come on. She's from America. She's a lady that I met at the event, and some people would call it divine intervention, you know, etc. But it was just absolutely fabulous. And I thought, what great person to bring on the call. Maybe she can share a testimonial and give some key tips to the team that's going to help you guys throughout your day to day. So, Angela, thank you very much for coming back on the call. Looking fantastic as usual, my dear.
Thank you. I'm honored to be here with all of you guys. I'll just give you some little insight to who I am as a human being. I am an introvert, and I have worked my entire life to change my mindset. So I'm a trained extrovert, and it took me years. In fact, at one point in my life when I was 10, I couldn't get in front of my classmates to speak. I would cry, and my parents bought me a ventriloquist doll. So for many years, all of my public speaking was done with my ventriloquist figure. And I had to learn how to speak and feel comfortable without my puppet. And it was a challenge. So I'm sharing that because what I realized is that sometimes I have to move out of my comfort zone and do things that are uncomfortable to get to the next place. And I'm actually doing a couple things right now with you guys here that were completely uncomfortable for me in the beginning. One is wearing this cowboy hat. It has a very sentimental value. My husband bought me this cowboy hat when we went to Montana, and it gave me a completely different feeling, a different confidence. The little butterfly on the top here is a nod to my husband because from the very first day that I met him, he gave me butterflies. And we'll be celebrating our 37th wedding anniversary on February 18th, and he still gives me butterflies. But this butterfly is a conversation starter. This cowboy hat is a conversation starter, and it forces me to get out of my comfort zone. So currently I'm in California. I actually live in Virginia, but I have an 89-year-old mother who is suffering from dementia. She's part of my story. You guys, I'm in a back room. I'm gonna take this filter off because I keep moving out of it. Sorry. So you get to see the bedroom. Anyways, she's part of my story. I have 5 other siblings, 3 of which that live here in town where I'm at in California, one that lives in Virginia, and myself. That four, I guess four. Yeah, four that live in California. I'm so nervous, you guys. Anyways, my mother owns a property that went empty, and it was part of her income. And it's been empty since November of last year. And we've been struggling to get a loan. Bottom line is at nearly 63 years old, I'll be 63 on April 3rd. I'm doing the work that we can't afford to pay somebody. We finally will be closing on a loan tomorrow, so things are going to pick up. But I've been leveling cement. I've been pulling out weeds that were 6 feet tall. And I'm going to kind of piggyback off of what you said because I filmed it all. I have a pair of what I call spy glasses that allow me to videotape just by pushing a button. I can also listen to podcasts. I can take phone calls and whatnot. But the view that it gives me or my followers is from the perspective of pushing some heavy dirt and using a sledgehammer to break up cement, getting on my hands and knees and leveling cement with a trowel. I mean, all that stuff. And all of those things create engagement and trust and likability. And what it's done for a lot of people is they've asked questions. Now, in none of the posts am I saying anything about LifeWave. I'm really talking about having the strength and stamina and feeling like I call myself a recycled teenager. Okay, so that's part of my story, but I'll tell you, if you go back, almost 30 months ago when I started LifeWave, I couldn't get up and down off the floor. I had a hiking injury that I was teaching 10 aerobics classes a week, and then I was training for a race called the Ascent. Anybody familiar with Colorado Springs? It's the highest mountain, and it's 13.1 miles up and back. And my husband was in the military. He was in Bosnia, so the only way I could train was with my 3-year-old daughter on my back. And I was coming down the mountain one day, and I felt both of my feet go through my shoes. I thought it was my shoes that broke, but no, it was acute plantar fasciitis in both of my feet.
Wow.
Now, talk about feeling like an old person. I was like 36 when that happened. And I have dealt with that pain ever since. At the age of 50, I went to cosmetology school. It was something I always wanted to do. I have my college degree. I actually went to college to study communication because I needed to get over my fear of public speaking. And so I went to cosmetology at 50, opened up my own salon. And because of the injury to my feet, I ended up with a right heel pain and a right knee injury. And so every day that I worked, my husband would massage my feet for an hour because it took that long to recover. I'm sharing all of that with you because I was a one patch wonder. I was Zooming with a friend. I hadn't seen her for a couple months. And I'm looking at her on a Zoom and I'm like, oh my gosh, what are you doing? And she's like, what? Is it that noticeable? And the way I describe her, she was like Eeyore. And all of a sudden, she was like Winnie the Pooh. And it was so obvious to me. So I'm like, I want to try it. So I will tell you, she sent me a couple of patches. They came right before a training session that I was doing with Tony Robbins. Does anybody know Tony Robbins? Okay, so if you go to their virtual events, you got to have your camera on. And if you're not going full out, they call you out. And there was no way I was going to let my pride have them call me out for not keeping up. So I didn't read the instructions. I took one of the patches, I put it on the back of my neck. I can't even tell you which one it was. But in 45 minutes, pain that I didn't identify as pain, just a nuisance, right? Because that's what happens when we deal with chronic pain. You just kind of live with it. Went from an 8 down to a 3. And by the end of that first month, I had no pain in either of my feet, not in my heel or my knee. That
Wow.
is not typical.
This
So
is a
I don't
great
share that
story.
story. I don't share that story because not everyone's going to get that result, right? I'm a one patch wonder. I literally was a one patch wonder. But we're going to talk about that in a minute because it's part of what we have to do to let people know that we're in business. So more as a hairstylist, I opened up my own studio. What I'll tell you was really frustrating is I would try to book my clients on my phone and I couldn't remember a 10-digit phone number from one screen to the next before I started patching. I couldn't remember a simple email, like the correct spelling of the names. And that takes time, right? It was frustrating. And so even as the pain went away from my body, I've seen improvements. And I share that because what you want to take a look at is who are your audience? Whether you're meeting somebody in person or you're meeting somebody through online. I built my entire business very quietly without even doing one thing on social media. I use social media behind the scenes, never once said what I was doing. People would come to me and I would talk to them behind the screen. Now, I'll tell you, I wouldn't make that choice again if I could roll back the clock because I missed out on sharing this opportunity with some really good friends that signed up under somebody else because they didn't know I was open for business. So what I want to share with you guys right now is um, if you don't have your like 30-second story, something that you could share in an elevator when you're meeting somebody, if it's appropriate, um, you want to kind of narrow it down. So this is what I would tell you. Years ago, I was dealing with chronic pain and low energy from an overuse injury. I refused to accept it, that slowing down was just a part of getting older. Then I discovered LifeWave. I was curious, but very skeptical. What surprised me was how much better I felt using light to support my body naturally. I have more energy, clarity, resilience now than I ever expected at this stage of my life. I don't explain the science, you guys. No, that's not true. I used to explain the science. I would vomit the science because I'm a science nerd and it was too much information. We have so many resources available. So now I want to just kind of talk to you about the five, I don't want to call them tips. It's almost a mindset. They're pillars. It's a way of thinking of things that hopefully you probably already know this, but maybe you need a little reminder. So the first pillar is
I hope you're writing this down, guys, because I've seen these tips. I hope you're writing them down. Carry on, sorry.
you don't have to be an expert to share. In fact, it works against you because the way you introduce the technology to somebody is the way they're going to feel like they have to introduce it. Prior to LifeWave, I worked in a hair care company, and people would come to my salons in my home. Right? It's not duplicatable that way. I was better off washing somebody's hair in the sink because that's duplicatable. So you want to set the example right from the start. Say as little as possible, and how can I say this? You could go out to a restaurant, right? And it's fantastic. The food is delicious, the atmosphere is great. Maybe they have live music, and you don't have any problem sharing that. But you're not necessarily, or you might be, but you're not a culinary chef, right? What makes you qualified to have an opinion about the food that you're eating? Well, of course you have the right to have an opinion. So, but you don't have to be the expert. You don't have to know all the ingredients, where the ingredients came from, how it's cooked, what processes were used. You just have to know that you liked it. That's good enough. All right. What you want to do is you want to guide people to the tools, the video calls. Are you guys on Team Evolve? Do you know Team Evolve? Okay, so we have a
Sorry, I
great
just
team, and
realized I
what I
was.
love about Team Evolve is it's love. The word love is spelled backwards in that word evolve. But we have a system in place, and it's called PPP, where you're piquing somebody's interest, you're leading them to a tool, right? You're helping them uh, partner with us, right? It's a three-step process, and we have every Monday through Thursday, there are these podcasts that we can plug into where we can invite our guests. We don't have to reinvent the wheel. And so that's a resource for you. So what I would tell you is find the resources that are available to you. I'm sure, are you all from the UK? Or are you guys dispersed?
A lot of them are from the UK.
Okay. So UK is on my bucket list. Just a side note, I had tickets to go see The Lion King in London. And at the time, my husband was military, and he could travel with his military ID card. But apparently, the Italians where we were living let us out of the country, and we were in Germany heading to London, and the Germans wouldn't let us out. So we never made it to the Lion King. But
Oh my
that's another
God.
story. Anyways,
Awesome.
the credibility that you bring to the table is your connection with them. It's not an explanation of the science. Okay, so you are what they're going to buy. They're not going to buy the product, they're buying you and your energy. And sometimes, if you just shift your energy like 10% or even 3%, people are going to notice. Like my friend who introduced me to this technology, there was a different energy about her. We laugh about it now because she's definitely not Eeyore, but she was in pain and that pain was gone. Now, I'm going to share an experience with you that kind of talks to my second point. You got to treat this like a business. I'm here to tell you that hobbies cost you money, right? If you're going to give patches away to people and you're not following up with them and you're not treating this as a business, it's going to cost you money and you're not going to make any. So if you owned a franchise, right, you'd be spending thousands of dollars on owning a franchise. Do they allow franchises in the UK? I'm like,
Yeah.
I know what you guys are thinking. She's so
That is
American.
such a
You just
great
haven't been there, you
That
know?
is such a great point that you just said there. I said that. I've never heard that. I don't know if you have, David Booth, but I've never heard that in my 10 years of network marketing. Franchises spend thousands. I'm going to shut up. I'm going to shut up.
Yeah,
Carry on.
no,
Sorry.
it's true. Here's the difference though, right? When you buy a franchise, you're buying an SOP. They're telling you exactly what to do, when to do it, how to do it. Because as the owner of that franchise, one, you've got thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars invested in it. You have to know what your managers are going to do, what your employees do, how every aspect of that business works. So, what I will tell you, when I first started with LifeWave, I came from a team that didn't promote the Customer Plus program. And I was like, what? Because I went in my back office every single day and I spent at least 20 minutes clicking all the buttons, understanding. And even to this day, if I have a question on something I don't understand, especially with our new comp plan, I go in and I research first. I go to my upline only as a last resort because I respect their time, not because they won't help me, because they will. But I want to be resourceful. It's my responsibility. My success of my business is my responsibility. I want to partner with my upline and my sponsors, all of my upline, all the way up. And so that brings me to the next point of treating it, well, the same point, treating it like a business. And just because it's a low investment doesn't mean it's going to be low energy, right? And it doesn't mean low outcomes. You know, we could get, I know somebody that bought the $25 starter kit because that's all they could afford, who's making six figures because they were hungry,
Wow.
literally, literally hungry. So treat it like a business. Now, the next tip I would say is partner with your sponsor. Take ownership of it. Your sponsors that are working the business want people to ask questions. They want people to show up and they want people to let them know you're not bugging them, right? Share your goals with them. Ask for help because you actually fuel their passion as well. Then you become a true business partner. I don't look at my business partners as somebody that I have to string across the finish line. They all know we have our weekly meetings, but they also know that if they need special time with me, they send me a text. That's the best way to communicate with me. And I can tell them exactly when I'm available because I block my schedule. Currently, I'm in California, like I mentioned. I'm here to support my family who's dealing with my mom. She requires 24/7 care. She's physically strong. Her lifestyle, her life wave story is incredible too, but she cannot be unsupervised. So, and because of personal reasons, there's no money to hire somebody. So all of my siblings and I provide the care 24/7. So I always have to know when I have blocks of time because you can build this business in 15-minute increments with the right income producing activities. Okay. So reach out to your sponsor. You guys are here, so you're showing up. Showing up is really important. That's the next tip. Plug into the training, plug into the events. If you can't show up in person, watch the recordings. No one earns a degree by showing up for one class, right? You're going to make a lot of mistakes. You got to do it messy. You got to step out of your comfort zone. That's what this hat allows me to do. I'm going to share a quick story. I was traveling and I was wearing this hat because I was going to see my husband and I thought I had an hour between flights, right? So I go up to the counter and say, hey, um, just checking in, but I got to use the restroom. And she's like, oh, no worries. I mean, like there was no race at all to get me on the plane. She said, well, you can board anytime. I said, okay. So I go to the bathroom, I go back in, I'm like, I'm just going to go on the plane, right? I get on the plane, and almost every single person smiled at me, commented on the butterfly, commented on the hat, commented on the jacket I was wearing. I mean, it was like I was a rock star. I don't know what they said about me before I got there, but I sat in my seat, and within 1 minute, they're like, okay, we're closing the door. But instead of being frustrated with me, everybody was like happy to see me there. I said, I don't know what they said, but I got in contact with the person that was sitting next to me. And I didn't go into why people, because I was like, is it my imagination? But I'm telling you, it's walking down the plane. And whatever it is for you, right? You'll be out shopping. For me, Home Depot is a loaded place to help people, because people who work in the construction industry, their bodies are broken and you can see them limping, and you got it. I had to get out of my own way. And this hat, believe it or not, was one of the things that did it for me. Um, so you just showing up to the events, going back to that, right? Going back to the events, showing up is going to help strengthen your own belief. Maybe you're not one of those one patch wonders, but I will tell you that after going to convention, I had 3 business partners there, 2 of which were not working their business. And now all 3 of them are running. Your sponsor, if you want to run, wants to run with you. If you want to crawl, they'll crawl with you. If you want to stroll, they'll stroll. It's your business. But you have to let them know. It's your responsibility to let them know. It's not your sponsor's responsibility to drag you across the finish line. It doesn't feel good, you guys. Okay? So we always say, reach out to find somebody like you or better than you. And if they're working the business. Okay? So if you want different results, then you got to show up in different rooms, whether it's a Zoom room, a hotel where there's an event going on. If you're cross-line or a sister line or somebody else in your hometown is having an event, collaborate with them. There's strength in numbers, right? It's not a threat. They're not a threat. They're strength in numbers. So the last thing I want to talk to you about is you got to touch your business every day. Now, if you're only working your business part-time, that's fine. But the part-time that you're working it, act like you're working it full-time. You have to think like an entrepreneur, but work like an employee. There's no shortcuts about it. If you don't have simple systems in place, like you're following up with people, we all know we're supposed to do lists and all that, right? Your chicken list, the other list, your cold market, your hot market, strangers, I'll tell you, it's all important. But if you don't do anything with that information, it's going to be like my first year. I wasted a lot of opportunity. And now with the incentive that we have for new people signing up, you want to go back to your list, go back to the people that you reached out to before. Just recently, I had somebody reach back out to me when I decided to work the business, she has a son that's a quadriplegic. I thought of her and I reached out to her. She wasn't interested, but she's been watching me for the last 2.5 years. And about a week and a half ago, she reached out and she said, somebody else was talking to me about LifeWave, but I trust you. And so guess who's now patching? And it took 2.5 years. Now, what I didn't do is I didn't go back to her. That was a mistake on my part, because I could have probably helped her. Now at this point in her life, she's very sick. Her hair is falling out. I mean, there's a lot of other issues which maybe could have been prevented. So my suggestion to you is to touch your business every day, find the system that works for you. And it's different. I'll tell you, when I first started growing my team, I have a bunch of people that aren't familiar with online tools. And so I started this paper system to track my employees. And guess where my paper system is right now when I'm in California? It's in Virginia. My binder's like that thick. I didn't want to bring it. I'm like, what the heck? I should have done it the way I wanted to do it, because I like the convenience of being able to access things from my phone or computer. But I didn't do that because what I should have done was guide them to This is what you need to track. How you track it is up to you. All right. So those are my tips, you guys. I got one more thing I want to share with you. So I am a hairstylist. It's not the hair that I want to show you guys, but I have to fix it because I have hat hair. But you see this patch right here? This is the Elevita patch. I never sleep 12 hours. So I leave it on until that 12 hours has come by. I left it on for you guys specifically because one day when I was in Virginia, I forgot that it was on and I'm walking my dogs and I link up with a neighbor. I mean, we just crossed paths and I could see that there was something distracting her. And it dawned on me, I had the patch in the middle of my forehead. So I said something like this. Did I leave the patch on in the middle of my forehead? And she's like, I'm like, are you even a little bit curious? She goes, yes. Guess what? She works with, she has her own psychiatry business. So there was a great conversation and she's using the patches and she's using it in her clinic. So why I'm sharing that is if you notice, I have one on my hand, I have one on my chest.
Unbelievable.
Oh, there's a patch missing in my house, but I normally have one right here. And because it's a conversation starter. Now I usually put the carnosine right here for me. But I'll always say this patch, it's the X39, because I'm not going to show them where I actually put it. That would be obscene, right? So, I mean, because I put it below my belly button. That's the only reason why. But I can point to this and say, this little patch will make your heart 6 weeks younger or 8 weeks younger for every 6 weeks that you wear it. That's it. Are you interested? What do you know? Are you into your health? If you're into your health, are you open to learning about the latest technology in stem cell? And then be quiet. If they say yes, say, do you mind if I send you a link? If they say no, they're not interested, walk away. You've already planted the seed. You don't need to be a pest. The only people in my life that I pest about LifeWave are my family members. And I've given them a ton of patches and they all believe in the technology, but they're still not signed up. But that's family. It's just the way it is.
Absolutely.
So that's what I have for you guys. I hope it's been useful and helpful. If you have any questions, also I'll tell you, if you know anybody with thinning hair or scalp issues, the X39 is the bomb diggity bomb and the Eon patch. It actually will help strengthen the root of the hair at the bulb. The problem with scalp health, it's the least critical thing in your body. So it's going to deal with all the other things first. So they may not see changes right away, but I actually got interested in light therapy because I needed to create more flexibility in my work schedule so I could be here with my mom in California. And I can consult with my hair clients with scalp issues via Zoom. So I stopped taking new hair color clients like 4.5 years ago, just to position myself to be more flexible, never realizing that it was going to connect me here and now, right? When I was introduced to LifeWave and I understood the concept behind the light, I'm like, oh my goodness. I would bring people in for these 6 to 8 week programs for their scalp. They'd come in once a week. And at the end of it, their goal was to decide if they wanted to invest in this $2,000 machine.
I'm loving this. I'm loving this.
You
I'll
know,
tell
and it's
you.
like most people don't have the space in their house for the machine that they were trying to buy, nor $2,000 at one time. So we're sitting on a gift, you guys, and we have to get out of our own way, open your mouth. And I'm going to give you an example of using all of these pillars to work your business. I was at a furniture store to look for furniture for the house that I'm renovating, right? And I walked in and it was kind of like when you and I met, this instant connection. It was right before Christmas. It was crazy busy. I followed up immediately. He followed up. I didn't see it. And I followed up again when I did see it. And we set up a meeting for Friday, this past Friday. And on Friday at 9:30, no, 10:30, well, he still hadn't sent me the address. I could have just not shown up. But I went to work, you guys. I went to his social media and I found out where he was working. And I showed up there. I just showed up there. I got a little presentation set up, some patches to give him. I get there, and guess who's not there? He's not there. I'm walking around the gym. I look in, I see the cardio room. I notice a couple people there. I turn around, I start to walk towards the front desk, and I call him. Hey, I thought I was going to meet you and the owner here. Oh, I was supposed to send you a note. And he goes, I'll be there in 10 minutes. I'm like, okay. So I turn around, and there's this gentleman who says, you can sit, there's a seat right here if you want to sit down. And I go immediately, I go to shake his hand. Hi, I'm Angie. And he goes, oh, I can't shake your hand. My hands don't work. I'm like, what? He goes, yeah, I'm a quadriplegic. And I step back because he's standing, you guys. There's no wheelchair there. I'm like, wait a minute. You're standing. And I saw you on the bike. He goes, he just kind of looked at me, and I said, you know, do you believe in divine intervention? Because I work in stem cell activation. Are you familiar with that? I'm not familiar with stem cell activation, but I am familiar with stem cells. And I said, wait, before I go further, because I wanted to vomit. You guys, I just wanted to share all this stuff with him. And I stepped back and I said, tell me your story. Tell me what happened. And I listened. And he was in a mountain bike race, and he had a jump. He lost control, and he severed his spine in the C4 and C5. And that happened in 2019 during the pandemic. Now, this guy's a walking miracle without the patches. All right. But what happened next was incredible. So we're talking, and I said, you know, I don't know if this will work for you or not, but I'm here. I'm supposed to be meeting Ray here, and about this light technology. And he's like, I'm all in. Let me hear. I'm like, it's non-transdermal. It won't interfere with medication. And all of a sudden, the guy I was supposed to meet shows up, one of them. And he's watching us interact. And I said, you know, I actually have some patches here. Are you interested in being patched? Now he can't feel anything from the neck down, you guys, other than pain. He's in pain from the neck down. And so I'm always going to undersell the technology. Like, I don't know if this is going to work. Let's give it a shot. So I took the Ice Wave patch, and in retrospect, I probably should have started with the Eon and the X39, but I started with the Ice Wave patch, and I put it 2 inches below where his C7 should have been, but his back of his neck was wonky. And I put that there, and then I halfway down his back, because he couldn't feel. You know how you guys been trained on how to patch the Ice Wave? You know, you move it around, right? Well, he couldn't feel that. He couldn't feel that placement. So I said, you know what? I'm going to take a chance. I'm just going to put it halfway down your spine. And we're talking. My friend comes in, and he's like watching this whole thing unfold. And all of a sudden, this guy, Dennis, said, oh my goodness, I feel something cold. I'm like, what? He goes, yeah, I feel this coolness where you put that white patch. He said, that's interesting. It was only like 2 minutes. I said, I've got some other patches I would like to put on you, but let's just wait and see what happens. So 5 minutes goes by, and he goes, man, I'm feeling something. And he's trying to describe it, but he can't, because he hasn't felt anything from the neck down for almost 7 years. And so his coach, the trainer, the person I met, was like, okay, this is what I want you to think about, and I'm like, okay. The guy's already in. He's already sold, because he's watching this man who he saw as a quadriplegic already walk, right? And so 10 minutes goes by, and he goes, I can't even believe this. Normally, after 5 minutes, I need to sit down. I don't feel the need to sit down. And I said, okay, can I put a couple more patches on you? Because yeah, I'm interested. I don't get this, but I'm interested. So I put the X39 above where I put the Ice Wave, and the Eon below. And then I took the X49 and I put it on his lower back, because the highway to the brain and the spine, right? That's what I was thinking. And we're talking, and he's like, you could see his body posture changing because he wasn't in pain. And all of a sudden he's like, oh my goodness. I'm like, what? They're like, wait, let me get the camera. He felt tingling in his legs. And I asked him, he goes, I said, is that normal? He goes, well, I'm not sure if it's from the workout and the stretching that I did. And then I asked him, I said, well, when you normally work out and stretch, do you feel tingling? And he said, and he paused for a really long time. He goes, it wasn't until you put the patch on that I felt anything. So now we're at 20 minutes, 21 minutes, right? He's like, I've never been able to stand this long since this injury. And he, we didn't want to keep him there all day. I did, but I wasn't going to, right? He goes, do you mind if I update you later today? I'm like, sure. Do you mind if I give you some more patches so that you can patch tomorrow? He goes, yes. So, anyways, he's getting ready to walk out the door because he has since learned how to drive, which is incredible in itself, right? And I'm like, do you mind if I videotape you walking? Because your gait's gonna change. And from where he was standing, he walked out, he went to the right, he walked to the corner of the shopping center, and then came back around where his car was. And in that short time, there was something else going on. And he wasn't in pain. He was in no pain, but his body was numb. So he was like, I don't know if I'm stable or not. And then the trainer says, oh my goodness, you're walking smooth. It was like he was almost like at a party versus more calculated. Had I not taken my job seriously and just blew off the fact that the guy didn't send me the address, I wouldn't be able to share the story with you guys. If I,
Fantastic.
and I'll tell you, when I went to the furniture store, I didn't have this, but I had this on because I walk with a different confidence with this darn hat. And maybe it's because I feel like my husband's right next to me, right? Because my husband he's the outgoing one in our relationship. He'll start a conversation with anybody or everybody. It's not typically me. If you would not have come up to me at the restaurant where we met at the hotel, I don't know that I would have reached out because like I said, I'm very, very shy. But I
I,
learned something from you, from watching you at convention, that you were a blessing to me. Your energy is contagious. And for me, I'm not going to be all over social media like you are. It's not my nature, but I'm going to show up. I'm going to show up authentically me, and just shifting 10%. I'm telling you, it makes a difference and people will notice. And that's one way that you can affect your business, right? So that's it.
it's crazy. I had a voice go off in my head. See that lady over there? I'm thinking, which lady? That lady over there. You got to go talk to. You got to go talk to. And I don't even know what I was. I, I remember meeting you and going,
He was live, you guys. He totally put me on the spot. I was like, I never go live. I don't like to go live. Can't control the outcome, right?
but you were awesome. You wouldn't have thought it. You're awesome. I pushed you out of your comfort zone without even realizing it. Sorry.
No, but it was a good thing. That's the whole point. Like that's why I'm here for you now, because that taught me something really, really valuable. I needed to show up on social media, even though I'd learned that lesson already once, right? Somebody didn't sign up under me because I waited too long to let them know I was open for business. But when you're at an environment like a LifeWave convention or an event in your country, do they have conventions for LifeWave in your country?
They just had one last weekend. Yeah.
Okay. I'm telling you, people, they may not comment, right? They may not heart it or like it, but they're watching. I went to my I went to an event for my class, my high school class, my 45th high school reunion's coming up, and I'm actually in charge of it. But we had a little meet and greet at a wine bar owned by one of our classmates. And I had like five of the guys in my class who I went to school with say, I see what you're doing. I'd love to get my wife involved. I'm like, why your wife? You know what I mean? Like, you can do this. Like I'll tell you, I have a couple guys on my team and they don't get caught up with, oh, their hair's not good, their makeup's not what, like if you're not following Craig C. Miller on social media, follow him. And you can follow me at Angela Cavalli Harris. That's on all my social media. I focus mostly on Facebook because that's where us old people hang out. But he is a homesteader. And I reached out to him early on. This is again about the follow up and the systems. And they told me no. And my friend, we were been friends since seventh grade, and they sold their house in Oregon and they bought 100 acres in West Tennessee, and they had nothing. They had to dig a well, they had to build their house, and he could not lift his arms over his shoulders. But
Wow.
somebody approached him about LifeWave, and he went back to his wife, who he obviously didn't listen to, and was talking about this. And he goes, Angie's doing that. If we're going to sign up under anybody, we're going to go under Angie. So he signed up, not her. And he's telling me all these things that he's doing. And he was a one patch wonder too, right? He now can fully use his arms above his shoulders. Anyways, I said, you need to be recording everything you're doing on your homestead, because men your age can't work like you.
It's another great point. Yeah.
And I went on ChatGPT. I'm sure you guys are all using ChatGPT, right? And I said, give me 365 topics that a homesteader could talk about on social media. And I sent it to him. And it is amazing what he is doing. And he's very coachable. That's what your sponsor wants you to be. They want you to be coachable. And they're going to learn from you too. I learn from Craig all the time, but we have partnered together. It's not my business. We partnered together. It's his business. We work everything together. We both do an online vendor event together. We alternate each event and we support each other that way. So like, that's why partnering with your sponsor is important. You're stronger together. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. Okay, now I'm done. Sorry.
No, it's cool. It's cool. I mean, guys, first of all, I mean, I'll give you my take from what she said tonight, but I'm going to open up for the floor. Guys, if you want to unmute yourself and ask any questions, please make sure they're positive questions. All right. Okay. I know they will be anyway. But if you can take something from this call tonight and ask this lady a question, something you're possibly like advice from in a certain area, etc., by all means, just unmute yourself and ask, because I've had some guests on my call before, but again, I'm speaking with my 8 years experience. This is gold, this call. So if anybody's got any questions, just unmute yourselves, please. And just ask.
Hi, that was really inspiring. This is Gina here. Hi.
Hi, Gina.
Yeah, that's absolutely amazing. Thank you for sharing all that. What's your best advice on follow-ups? How to follow up with people?
Yeah, so I started with paper. I left my paper at home. I mentioned that. So now I have on the notes on my phone, I have a list of names that I keep adding to. Every day I try to reach out to 3 people and I try to follow up with 3 people. That's separate from my team. I also try to follow up with my team.
Right.
And right now that's all it is. I would like to automate things. I just am in a different season of my life right now, and it requires more brain power. I actually just signed up for a 1-hour coaching session, and it's Saturday. I'll let you guys know. I'll let Jace know if I get some good nuggets on the follow up, because that's what I asked for. That's the hardest part. You know, if you don't have a checklist, before I had a paper system and I would check up on them, right? And I would move them to a different date, like the next time I was going to call them. So I had like 1 through 35 or 1 through 31, and for the days of the month. And I would, if I signed them up on the 5th, or if I talked to them on the 5th and I wanted to follow up in 5 days or 3 weeks, whatever it was for them, I would put them there and with notes on the back. That's how I was doing it manually. And it worked while I was at home, but it was cumbersome for what I like personally. Now I could take the time and I could do all of that on like an Excel spreadsheet, but there are apps like Teamsy, right, where you can use that for follow up. The LifeWave app, the LifeWave Now, I've only delved into it a little bit. I see a lot of value in it. I just wish I could access our back office from it like we did with the old one. That all gave you the ability to follow up. So if you haven't looked into that, I'm going to give it a plug. I like it for compliance purposes too, because you could type up how I used it and how I'm using it is I would type up something, I would type it, copy and paste it in there and say, is this compliant? and it would give me feedback. What I don't like about it is I can only put one picture in, and sometimes I like more, like a video. And so that's what I would say. And with your follow-ups, I always ask permission, or I'm always setting up the next meeting. So if I was to have a conversation with you and say, hey, and you signed up, let's say you're a customer, because we want to lead our customers to the best health that they can have, right? But we don't want to overwhelm them at the beginning. So I 99.9% of the time I'm starting people with X39 or X39 and Eon. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
And then and to me, the way we've restructured the preferred customer plus is ideal, because guess what? It gives them an opportunity to get their own story. And they can even start sharing it with their friends, right? And get some free patches out of it. And then you can talk to them about working the business. Now, if you want the people that they enrolled as customers, right, sharing their link, you've got to connect that to the main office. They have to make that shift. It doesn't, they don't automatically, when you enroll a preferred customer under preferred customer, they're your customers, not your preferred customer. Does that make sense? It's kind of like a tongue twister.
Bit confused.
Okay, so if I were to enroll Jace as a preferred customer, and then he shared it with all of you guys, and you guys were all preferred customers underneath him, and then all of a sudden he wants to work the business, we have to make a phone call to get you guys moved over to him, because technically, because preferred customers don't have customers, right? They're a referral. They're my customers, but they belong to him.
And you can do that. You can switch that over.
Yes.
Okay, didn't know that.
Yeah, that is my understanding. Now, I have not done that yet. I just actually have one preferred customer right now who's in that position, but not ready to upgrade. What it allows them to do, though, it allows them to have their testimony, get belief in the product, the company, right? All you have to do is send them a tape with David Schmidt talking about anything. And, especially when he talks about like the Genesis 1, it's like just his mind, the way his mind works, and how our patents are, all of our products are patented, globally for 20 years. Those are gifts that he's given us. And most of the people that I associate with have a strong faith. And so that's something that I lead with, right? I don't share that too much before they get started because I don't want to overwhelm them. I want them to just look, there's a 30-day money back guarantee. You don't have anything to lose, but what if it helps? What if it helps?
Thank you.
I'm talking and nobody can hear me because I'm muted. Great answer, Angela, and great question, Gina. Great question. Anybody else with any other questions at all?
Hi, Angela. David here.
Hi, David.
How you doing? We're about to get the Synergize in the UK. Can you just tell us what difference it made when you started using the Synergize with the patches to your clients?
Okay, so that is a great question. And my mom is living proof. So let me just tell you a little bit about her story. She's 89. She has dementia, Alzheimer's. Most of the time, she doesn't recognize me as her daughter. And she doesn't drink enough water, and she doesn't eat a lot. So to get the patches to work more efficiently, the Synergize is the perfect thing for her. And so what I've noticed, let me tell you my mom's journey. She's been using the Synergize for about a year now, and she recognizes me more as her daughter now than she ever has. The other day, she was actually mentioning a neighbor by name, which I hadn't heard her say in a long time.
Wow.
And there's some reason for that too. I'm going to go into that because the nighttime Synergize has been a game changer for my mom. And if you know anything about healing the brain health, right? If you study that, they need the rest. And I sleep in the bedroom right next to my mom.
I'm thinking of an incentive right now. Carry on.
No, so I sleep in the room next to my mom, and I hear, prior to her using the Synergize evening, I would hear her get up 4 and 5 times a night. And obviously it disrupted my sleep. So now we have a ritual every morning. The first thing we do is we drink our Synergize. She is diabetic, so I give her her pill. I take my vitamins, and we cheers, ching ching, whatever you want to call it, until she drinks her water, right? And then I fix her breakfast, and then something that's high in protein and fat because their brain needs that. And then I patch her. And the way I get my mom to wear her patches is my mom, if you go on my social media, you'll see her. She is 89, but she looks like in her 70s. So her story was this. She was diagnosed at 78 with diabetes, and my father passed away, and I saw my mom starting to drink alcohol every Friday, and then every day. And we did not, like, I'm going to be 63 and I've never been drunk. We didn't drink in my house, but her mom was an alcoholic. And so I wasn't sure initially if that just expedited the whole process of the brain, because it's killing brain cells, right? And so she hasn't drank probably in a year now, which is a good thing. But she went to the doctors 5 years ago, 6 years ago. He gave her a cognitive test. She failed. She refused to go back, but she's diabetic. Her doctor, when my sister would come into town, she would arrange for a Zoom call, right, for health, and he would refill her prescription, but he never did any blood work. And in my mind, I'm like, that's irresponsible, because if you know anything about the medication for diabetes, it can wreak havoc on some of your internal organs. So I come into town. I'm here for the long term, right, to work on this renovation project. We get my mom back to the doctors, and I went there with a list of, I don't know, 50 or 60 blood work tests that I wanted done. I think he was a little bit surprised. And we went through his little checklist, and he did as many of them as he could. Now, mind you, he hadn't done blood work in like 5 or 6 years. And so we get the results back, and I leave him some information. I'm like, my mom's been using this technology for about a year and a half. He goes through the results. Her sugar went from 6.9 down to 6.2. Her cholesterol dropped 25 points, but the HDL went up to 57. Her blood pressure, which she had a prescription somewhere for high blood pressure, but it got lost in the mix. She never took it. So she's lucky to be alive, in my opinion. But her blood pressure without medication at 89 or 88 when this happened was 120/68. Her cortisol levels, 0. All her internal organs, perfect. She's probably healthier than all of my siblings who aren't taking the patches regularly.
Wow.
So an interesting situation that happened over Christmas. My mom's best friend used to work for this doctor as a nurse for 30-something years, and she's not in good health. But her doctor went to go see her over the holidays, and he goes, that Frezzy, my mom's name is Euphrasia, but she goes by Frezzy. There's only one of those. But anyways, he said, she is as healthy as a 70-year-old. I mean, that speaks volumes.
Wow.
So the Salergize is important. And if people tell you, I don't like the taste of it, you just tell them to suck it up. Man, just drink it. Just drink it. It's good for you. What I can tell you is, on the day, like if I'm running low and my supply hasn't come back in, because my mom and I are, we're sharing the same canister, my mom always gets priority. On the days that I don't take it, or the days that, like, I always make sure my mom's patched, but if I'm not patching, especially the Eon patch, I can tell you the Eon patch has helped me as a caregiver be more patient, right? And just calmer on the inside. And that's what I've noticed with the Salergize. And the evening Salergize for my mom has made a huge difference in her sleep patterns. And then I also added the Silent Night, and I switched the Eon patch from the daytime to the nighttime. So my mom wears the Silent Night and the Eon patch and takes the Salergize. And her, like, sometimes it kind of catches you off guard. Has anybody ever dealt with somebody with dementia?
Yes.
Okay, so it catches you off guard. We had this beautiful day. I colored her hair. We went for this 2-hour drive. We went out to dinner, and we were halfway through dinner, and all of a sudden my mom flips on me. And I'm like, I didn't patch that day. So I could have handled things a lot differently. My goal was just to get her out as quickly as possible. And this is what flipped her switch. She had 3 pieces of pancakes left over and like 3 pieces of bacon, which she, for whatever reasons, put butter on it. And I'm like embarrassed, freaking out. And then she takes it and she puts it in a napkin because she's going to take it home. And all I asked her was, Mom, would you like me to get a to-go box for you? And that was it. And you know why she got mad? Because she was wrong. But she doesn't understand the emotions that she doesn't like being wrong. If you know my mom, she does not like being wrong. But that's what set her off. And you know, it took me about 4 hours to get her calmed down. She was going to go home someplace else where she doesn't own a home.
Oh, bless her.
Yeah, but
Wow.
that's where the reinforcement comes in. It definitely takes a village. But so to answer your question, Dave, the Salarygize is a yes, take it. It's if you either invest in your health now, and it's really geared, I think, for those people who maybe don't see effects right away. It's because if you don't have enough copper in your diet, how can you make copper GHK, right? So to me, it's just an assurance. In America, our crops are, they're overused and they're full of pesticides. And so to be able to get something that I know is going to make these patches work better, I'm all in. I don't care. You either pay for it now or you react to it and pay more later at the
Exactly.
hospital.
Yeah.
Oh, let me quickly write that down. Pay for it now. Say that again. Sorry.
You pay for it now when you're like, you can budget for it, right? You're planning for it. It's part of your daily routine, or you're going to react and pay a lot more for it. Because I don't know what it's like in the UK when you go to the emergency room, you step in and it's going to be thousands of dollars.
Yeah,
That's
with the UK, it's a lot different for us because with the UK, everybody gets their hospital treatment, medical treatment for free. It's available on we call it the NHS, etc. If you're on certain benefits, blah, blah, blah. Pretty much anybody gets it. So in England, it's very tough for my guys to get customers, branding partners, and to stick because they're always up against that one hurdle. I have top affiliates in my organization that have built thousands in teams, and it's different culture. But in the same sense of what you say, it's such a powerful story with your mom. When you was telling your story with your mom, my hairs were standing up. I was like, what's going on here? So thank you so much for sharing that.
So I want to share one other aspect of that thing. Because I live in Virginia, I relied on my family members here. And I went to a convention in October. We came here for a visit. I left patches. I patched her here. While I was here, I saw a difference in her energy level. I left patches with my family. That was I was here for Thanksgiving. So November, December, January, they were not patching her consistently. And I'm like, oh, please, just do it. So I would call them because my mom can't afford the patches. I pay for them. All right. And I would call and say, how many patches does she have left? And I would get like 15 when there should have been like 6. Right. And I was getting mad. Like, why do I have to call and ask how many patches are left? I should already know the answer. You should have 6 left. So I didn't call anymore and they ran out. They ran out for 2 weeks. And guess what? They said, okay, we know that the patches work. Can you please make sure they're back on auto ship? I'm like, as long as you promise to patch her. I actually created a little checklist since I've been here. It says Frezzi's daily tasks. And on there is wake up happy, get dressed, brush your teeth, make your bed, straighten up your room. Come in, have your coffee and your Salarygize and put your patches on, take your vitamins. And my mom it's so cute, you guys, because it's not for my family member. It is for my family members, mainly because so they can see how important it is for my mom. My mom doesn't want to lose control. She wants the decisions to be her. Taking a shower, My mom used to do that every day. Now it's like once every 4 days. It was once every 7 days when we didn't have the chart. Because now she can look at the chart where she's put a little heart on the days that she's taken a shower, and she can count, oh gosh, I haven't taken a shower for 3 days. I need to take a shower today. It's her choice, not us demanding it.
I love
So,
Oh.
yeah.
On Jess, on the Celigize, so what's bitter for the mouth is good for the body, and what's sweet for the mouth is bad for the body.
I love that.
Same with the business as well. You can pay the price now, right, and play later. No, was it pay now and play later? That's right, isn't it? Yeah. So
Pay more later.
pay the price now and you can play later, or you can play now and you're gonna have to pay later as you get older.
Very
So,
important word
so
play.
Well, and the other part, since your medical care is covered, right?
Yeah.
The part I would probably play up. My husband and I have made a commitment to each other to stay healthy. We eat well, we exercise.
Love
And
that.
I mean, I was hurt. I didn't exercise for years. Now I'm just getting back in shape. I couldn't even get up off the floor before. So it was like, you want me to do what? But we owe it to ourselves and to our family to take care of ourselves. I tell my siblings all the time, our grandmother had dementia. Our mom has dementia. My mom's brother, one died of lung cancer. The other one died of dementia. What are you setting your family up for? You got to take your responsibility for your health now, because do you want to be responsible? You want somebody to be responsible for decisions that you could be controlling now? Like, it's not that hard. It's not your genetics is not your destination. It doesn't have to be. Only like less than 10% of your genetics are going to actually come to fruition, because our lifestyle choices can be the game changer. We're getting smarter now with all the technology and light, you guys, light technology. I started incorporating that in my salon. I think I mentioned that to you. It was like when you start studying just light and how portable our gift is to people, you won't even question whether or not you need to open your mouth to say something. You won't. You won't.
I've got a big team in America, and have you got any idea? Is it this month you're going to get the filter? Because I've got it sort for my team. When's the water machine coming out?
You know what? I heard David Schmidt said March.
March.
We originally heard February, but March. And you know what? That's the one thing I want I'm going to buy 2 machines. Can I afford 2 machines? Hell no. But I'm going to buy 2 machines because I want one here on the West Coast for my siblings and one for my husband and I and my family on the East Coast. And I told him, I'm like, if you're going to use this water machine, you're going to keep a log. I need to know how long the filters are going to last, and you need to give me feedback. That's the only way you have permission to use it.
Wouldn't it be amazing if we could get the walk machines in the hospitals? Jesus. You know what I mean, everybody be leaving hospital.
Yeah, I you know where I want to use it? I do a lot of scalp treatments in my salon. I want to use it on the scalp.
Wow, yeah, that's a good idea. I didn't think of that.
Yeah, no,
Jesus.
I'm super excited about that water machine. But I will tell you, I had one of my friends actually was able to get the water. My sponsor was able to get the water machine before they stopped letting people buy it, and she brought some down. Now I will tell you, the water was already like 7 hours old when my mom drank it. But there's a period during the day it starts somewhere between 2 o'clock in the afternoon and goes until about 8, typically. Somewhere in that time frame, there can be a personality change. And especially when there's company, because my mom wants all the attention. And so if you were to come here and speak to me and not tell and you're not trying to be rude, you're just catching up, right? My mom would get mad. And she didn't. She had that water. She had the water 3. And so the next day it was even older, but it made a difference, even though it was not fresh out of the machine.
It's incredible the amount of different stories and testimonials I'm hearing about these water machines. It's like, and I mean, like, absolutely incredible stories, really, really are. I mean,
yeah, I've not looked at I don't even know if we have access to the clinical studies yet, but what David Schmidt said on a call was that 100% of the participants, I think there were 60 or 80% participants, 100% saw improvement between 15 seconds and 2 minutes. Cellularly, they were 2 to 3 years younger.
Wow.
It's mind blowing. And he would say things like, if you get it, it's probably really late when he's on, right? When you guys get, it's probably bedtime for you guys. But he said, I'm not, my lawyers are going to get mad if I say this, but I don't understand why I can't say this. And he'll say it, right? He said all the things that he's not supposed to tell us, he tells us.
Oh,
And
brilliant.
it was like people who had fast growing cells, right? There were healing of that. There were things that we can't say, that we can't make those medical claims,
Wow. Yeah, got you. Of
but the results speak for themselves.
course they do.
That's why showing up, like we have a call, I think it's tomorrow with LifeWave, right?
Yes.
Tomorrow, Wednesday. Showing up to those calls are really important, because you're going to gather, like, there's a sales language. This is about being responsible for your own business, right? Whether you're selling education, whether you're selling cars, whether you're selling, banking, investments, whatever, there's a sales language involved. And by showing up, you're going to hear it so many different ways from different people. A light bulb's going to go on in you, literally. And it's going to make it comfortable. Because for me, like, I don't want to be that person that sells everything. And I've tried a lot of different things. I'm a hairstylist, right? So I've tried every hair product on the face of the earth. And that's my job, right? Because people want my opinion about it. But I linked up with, this is my second hair care company that uses fermentation. It's not available in your country yet, but when it is, I'm going to reach out. I'm just kidding. I'm not. It's amazing.
I'll hook you
right?
up, babe. No worries.
There's always new technologies coming out. We live in such an amazing time. And that's what you need to focus on. We're a technology company. We are partnered with the best inventor, owner than any other company that I have been affiliated with. Get behind it and
Fantastic.
share it.
Wow.
Guys, I'm just conscious of the time because it's 1:15. I don't want people to start dropping off and getting tired. Just while I'm speaking right now, again, I'll take a couple more questions if anybody's got. But while you're listening, I've put the link to the post in our Facebook group. I've put it in the chat here on the Zoom. So while you're listening, if you could just drop a comment and show your appreciation for this lady in this call, etc., because unfortunately, there are a few people I can see right now. They're on Facebook, but they're not on this call. So I'm wondering why. Anyway, any other questions at all, guys? Got any other questions? Victoria, Margaret? Margaret usually asks the question. She's just opened up her mic. Here she goes. Sorry to put you on the spot, guys, but this lady's busy, so her time is
I just want
incredibly
to say I have
valuable.
no questions. I am just in absolute awe right now listening. I just cannot, I'm just comprehending and soaking everything all up, and it's just building my fire. That's all I can say. So thank you very much, Angela.
Bless her.
You're very
Fantastic.
welcome. And if you're ever in Virginia or in California, mi casa, tu casa.
Brilliant. Margaret?
The hair care, Angela, thank you for a great call tonight. The hair care, where would you place the patch to deal with it's like a very severe scalp condition if you were treating somebody?
Okay, so it depends on, like, patch the problem, right? If it's somebody, like, if they've got skin that's red and itchy, talking in symptoms, get a headband on, put the patch on the headband, put it on the head. If there's a place that's follically challenged, like my husband has follically challenged hair on the back of his crown, and when he's at work at home, because he works from home, he puts the patch on the back of his head, and guess what? I can feel nubbies, at least the last time I saw him. You know what I mean? So it will work. But again, your scalp is like the least critical part of your body. So it's got to deal with everything else first.
Lovely. Thanks, Angela. Thank you.
Great question, Mark.
I've always heard it was X39 and 49 was for hair growth. I've never heard the X39 Eon before.
Well, Eon, so that's a great question and a great observation. Eon helps with inflammation. And I will tell you, I am a certified Head Shape Matters hairstylist, which means I can mathematically calculate a haircut before I add shears to my hands to cut your hair. And I was doing my training. I got to be a hair
Wow.
model. And as there, 5 people were cutting my hair using a formulation. That's scary, right? But numbers don't lie. And as they were cutting my hair, like if you look, I don't know if you see here. See how loose my scalp is?
Right.
What happened? What they were cutting my hair, and she said that somebody said, "Man, her scalp is so loose." And the instructor came by and she said, "That's a sign of a healthy scalp." So when I went back to my salon, I started paying attention to my clients who had really fine, thin hair, and their scalps did not move. It was tight. So the Eon is going to help with inflammation, and I would put that on the temple.
Right.
Yep. Yeah. It's amazing, right? And so here's a test for you guys. What I want you to do is just massage your scalp, right? Move your skin over your skull. That's how much you're supposed to be kind of. And when you stop, you should feel a tingling sensation. Just doing that every day is going to help move inflammation out of your scalp. For women and men that are balding up here, they usually have inflammation here.
Wow. Because obviously a lot of you guys have seen my testimonials. I was going bald. That's how I got involved with LifeWave 7, 8 years ago. I had several conditions. One was pins and needles, and the other one, I was losing my hair and I was going all bald, etc. So people can't believe, they're shocked when they see, obviously I've got my green screen on so you can't see it, but people are shocked when I say to them, well, I was losing my hair, and I've got before and after pictures, of course, which is, yes, it's just so true. Just to re-emphasize what she's saying, it's just mental, absolutely crazy.
And if you ask enough questions, they may not even be tracking their hair, especially men, right? Men have been conditioned to say it's okay if we lose our hair, but I'll tell you from a hairstylist perspective, it bothers them. It does bother them. So if you ask enough questions, then you can figure out their pain point's gonna be. Like, how can you help them? Because that's what we're looking for, is to offer solutions. But I'm not here to sell anything to anybody. Like the guy, Dennis, the quadriplegic, I'm like, here's the link. I want you to do your research. If you scroll down to this point, you're going to see all the clinical studies. You have to be comfortable with this information. And when you're ready, I'm here to support. That's it. And then you got to shut up and walk away.
Thanks for sharing, Angela. And we hope to see you. We'd love to get you back on the call again sometime as well.
Yeah.
I love that. And like I said, if I get to the UK, we're going to have a party.
Yeah, definitely. You definitely look me up when you come, for sure. Absolutely.
Well, in
Right,
that
guys.
case, invite me from Ireland. I'm in Ireland, so I'll have to come over for the party. I'm in.
That's on my bucket list. Actually, I have 3 teammates. We all want to go to Ireland. So
Great, fantastic. So just very quickly, my feedback, loved the call. It's just great. Some of the comments I'm seeing coming through, for the others that haven't commented, just, obviously the more detail you put on there, the more it's going to give people, your team in the group, etc., to get on the call next week or the following week, for example. I'm going to continue to arrange these types of calls for everybody if they're getting value and they benefit from it. Obviously, adapt and overcome. That's what we do. We take this is what I do. We take the information, we utilize the information that we got on the call, and we obviously try and put it into action the best we can. I'm really, really grateful for this call, guys. Unfortunately, and I say unfortunately, I don't think any of you know how grateful I am to this call. I'm close to tears actually, because this lady's close to me for many reasons, and the quality and the value that she's delivered tonight on this call, it's very, very inspiring. So I really, really hope that you all got some type of, I know you got a lot of information, inspiration from it, but she's formidifying for me the reasons why I'm still involved in this business after 8 years. People still always ask me that question. Why are you still involved with this technology? Well, Andrew's just pretty much pointed it out. I see people where they drop in terms of their motivation. If they've been in the company 6 months, 9 months, 10 months, a year and a half, 2 years, for whatever reason. but I'm still going, and I want you guys to still be going. I want you guys to still be running with this business and look over your shoulder and say to me, you know, God, thank God I didn't give up. You kept me going. You know, we've all got different traits, we've all got different characters in this group, etc., and what have you. But if we all work together and we all utilize the experience this lady's got, myself and other people that we bring on these calls, we're all going to move together. Okay. I'm incredibly grateful for the information that's been delivered. I'm going to condense it and obviously put it in the group. I'm also going to upload it to my channel and share it with you guys tomorrow. Fingers crossed that there's no issues with the software. I'm just really, really grateful, you know, and well done for everybody that went to the event this weekend also as well. Not, I know a lot of you push miles to get on there. My best advice that I can give all of you on this call, if you have a team, whether it's active or non-active, my best advice is to jump straight in their inbox after this call and tell them via voice clip, not text, via voice clip, how great this call was and what value you got. Even if you've got 6 people in your team and only one of them's active, right? Message another one, message maybe 2 of them. That just because they're not active, it doesn't make any difference. It might pick them up and think, Jesus Christ, you know, I know some of these people on this call that you've got your own private groups. Give feedback, put feedback in those groups, in David's groups. Give David feedback in his group with his team so everybody else can see it, you know? So again, it's just golden nuggets that I'm trying to give you every single week that you can, you know, benefit from. Apart from that, I'm being told now by her, right? She's like, right, don't waffle on now. The guy's an angel that sits on my shoulder and she talks to me. So, you know, I just cannot be more grateful and appreciative, just really can, because I know so many leaders that don't do these calls with their team. You know, they don't give this advice, they don't give this value. You know I'm like Marmite. You either love me or hate me. It doesn't matter. I'm trying to give you value. And that's what we're doing here for sure. Okay. My energy goes a bit OTT, Angela, but it's just all natural. It's all just flowing out right now. And I'm being told, right, calm down, Jason. This
Okay,
technology just
don't
makes me a
ever
bit
dim your
excited.
light, you guys, for anybody. Do not dim your light.
Love that. Don't dim your light for anyone. That's it from me, guys. I'm going to sign off. You know, thank you so much for coming on the call, and I'll see you all again soon in the group, no doubt, at some point. Bye bye.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye.